Good afternoon, students. Today we will discuss another lesson which is entitled as The Demonetized India. You might have all experienced the demonetization of the currency notes, that is 500 and 1000 rupees notes. And this essay has been written by Vasudha Saigal. Indians are a resilient lot by nature. We Indians have it in our blood to bounce back from shocks, natural and man made, and get on the things. On 9th November, when the citizens of India were told that the 500 and 1000 rupee Indian currency notes in their pockets will no longer continue to be legal tender, the entire country was in stun. The next few days that followed were long queues outside ATMs. Banks were suddenly the most in demand commodity. Wage earners requested their bosses for short leave to tend to the same. The Prime Minister promised the citizens that the pain would last a few days, and this was a bold move to tackle black money, corruption, as well as counterfeit notes that terrorists used to cause mayhem in our country. The citizens were hopeful. People cooperated and stood outside banks in lines. Even those, the vast majority in villages traveled miles to find a functioning ATMs. Many a times, when their turn would come after hours of patiently waiting, the opportunity cost of a job they could be at, the ATMs would run out of money. Never mind, the resilience prevailed. Political parties got together and agitated, but not the Indian citizens. They were still resilient in the face of a massive cash crunch, showing faith in their elected government and hoping this massive operation would bear fruit as promised by the elected government. Even the current government agreed that the entire logistics of the massive operation of demonetization could have been worked out better. For instance, only government hospitals were accepting old notes. One thing that keeps coming to my mind is, shouldn't private hospitals too have been allowed to accept the old notes? Shouldn't citizens have been allowed to use their old notes in the face of a medical emergency? PAN cards could have been noted down if they wanted stringent measures. But healthcare, the most basic right of every citizen, should have been at ease with private healthcare easily accessible too. What about our fishmongers in the vast coastal regions during this time? An article in the Indian Express dated 19th November, it says fishmongers in West Bengal have fallen silent after the center's announcement on the demonetization, with markets remaining largely empty. Even though the price of the fish has plummeted, they showed resilience even in the toughest times of facing threat of closure and massive debt. But couldn't their plight have been eased? Remonetization. Fast forward to 3 months in the demonetization, and the citizens have a right to know what came out of this massive move. Has the Indian economy shown as much resilience as its citizen? Our current finance minister announced the budget recently. Everyone wanted to know how much money came back in the coffers of the RBI and the government. After all, wasn't this the boldest move to tackle black money, corruption, and tax evasion? Nothing was announced on that front. Okay, maybe a big announcement happens later in the year. Our countrymen hoped and got back to usual work. Coming back to the economy, where does it stand now? Let's see the numbers. An article in the Economic Times on the 10th February 17th titled Demonetization Nailed It shed some light on the FMCG segment. Hindustan Unilever Limited, a subsidiary of the Unilever, which has brands like Ponds and Pear soaps, Lipton tea, Lakme shampoos, Kisan juice and jams, saw its sales fall 1.2% between October and December. Dabur with iconic brands like Chyawanprash saw its sales drop to 6.5% between October and December. Marico with brands like Parachute Coconut Oil saw its sales sink to 7.5%. Colgate Palmolive saw sales plunge to 7.7% after demonetization. These are real figures, so in a few segments it is evident that the economy has taken a hit. Cashless to digital may sound fancy, but we cannot ignore certain other glaring statistics. India is home to the largest population of illiterate adults in the world, 287 million, amounting to 37% of the global total. Without basic education, how easy it is reasonable to accept illiterate citizens to become netizens overnight? However, even the biggest critics of demonetization cannot deny that India has been hounded by some demons which need demolishing, and demonetization hope to address some of such big demons. The demons. The income tax evasion demon. It is true that we have a pitiful statistics of those paying tax in a report on cnbc.com on India's income tax data published for the first time. In 16 years, only about 1% of India's population paid tax on their earnings in the year 2013. According to the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, demonetization has led to a 35% rise in personal income tax, the highest this country has seen. Maybe this also proves that along with resilience, Indians do understand the language of very stringent and bold measures, and sometimes to implement the same, the entire country has to bear the brunt. In the present budget, there has been relief for those paying income taxes at the lowest bracket. The tax rate for 2.5 to 5 lakh slab income earners has been cut to 5%. These are measures to get more people to be tax compliant, and it's time people follow heed. Black money demand. Real estate prices had skyrocketed due to black money. Post demonetization, we have seen an impact inflated real estate prices that are normalizing. The middle class will have the opportunity to buy and rent property at non inflated prices. Lastly, one hopes that the new currencies introduced 500 and 2000 Indian rupees are harder to counterfeit. Terrorism is the biggest demon and menace that the country face. Thank you, students.